Hey everyone, it's the Angry Honey Badger, and it's time to take a look at another champion build video. Today I am playing as Riven in the top lane. There's a few ways you can actually go about with your first starting item with Riven. What I actually like to do is if I want to play it like a bully, I actually go with a Doran's Blade first, but if you want to play a little more conservative, depending on who the top laner you are going up against, you might want to go with Boots and Pots. That's a little bit of a safer way to go, but if you kind of want to bully around who you're up against, you can go with the Doran's Blade. It's going to definitely help out your attack damage, which is going to make your passive better, and it's going to make just everything about you better as a champion. So that's what I like to do at level 1. I usually take Flash and Ignite when I go up top lane with Riven. And as you could see a little bit ago, I was picking on the Jax. There you can see that the Gangplank came out and tried to gank. But you have plenty of different things that you can do to get away when you are being ganked. Now here, it turns out that when I get into a fight that he kind of baits, looks like Gangplank is not left. I get into a fight and Ignite Jax. I know he's going to die, and I'm going to just retreat now from this Gangplank. And I pick up the first blood and get away without dying, so that's going to be really good. I've been farming pretty well too, or not pretty well, more like mediocre really, but farming a little bit so now I can go back to base and buy. I'm going to go ahead and pick up the first star of my boots and a Vampiric Scepter, a ward, and a health pot because it's going to help me out in lane, be able to have that ward up there since it appears that Gangplank's going to hang out top since I'm able to pick on Jax pretty well because Riven has some really interesting things that makes her a very, very strong champion for multiple reasons. Her passive allows her attack damage to then stack on her basic attacks. It's really interesting. I think it's a little bit broken and a little bit overpowered because her standard attacks hurt way too much for it. And you just got to be really careful about that. So that reflects the damage you're going to be doing and also the rune page choice that you go with when you're playing Riven. Also, because of her Q ability, which is her broken wings, the ability to activate it 3 times and do your little hopping around and nonsense, you can use that to speed yourself up while you're trying to chase or while you're trying to run. It also then does knockback on the third blow if you hit them with that. So you kind of have some CC there. And then also with her W, which is her Kai Burst, you also have more CC there as well. Whenever you use that by an enemy champion, you do stun them. So you can do lots of really interesting things, and you're going to see me using these things to not only get away in top lane, but to stun them in top lane and use them offensively and defensively. So you're going to kind of have to pay attention to how you want to use her kit and utilize it. And then finally, her E ability, which is her Valor. It pops up that shield for you. Here, I'm really bored with Jax. He's been kind of hugging, and I've been kind of pushed. So I'm going to actually just jump him under his tower. I'm going to activate my ult and then use its Wind Slash to finally kill him. Here, I'm going to use my Valor a split second before he used his ultimate to negate Karthus's ultimate and killing me. So just something to kind of pay attention to. So used my Valor there and denied Karthus another kill. So things to pay attention to. Probably not the smartest move to tower dive Jax with a Karthus on the enemy team, but that's okay. Luckily, I got out of that with using my Valor to negate the damage. So she can clear minion waves incredibly fast when you use her Kai Burst and her Broken Wings. They all do physical damage and does lots and lots of damage. When you do activate your ultimate, which is your Blade of Exile, when you do that, you get increased range on your attacks a little bit, and it also does give you 20% more attack damage on top of your abilities and nonsense. It does that for 15 seconds, and then you can send out those blades for your Wind Slash, which then, in fact, gives you more damage. You see me use it there for a split second in fast forward mode. But those are some of the things I'm doing there. Now, as for the build, as I did go back after I killed him and escaped from Karthus's ult, I finished off my boots and went with Merc Treads to negate some of the slows and also to pick up a little bit more magic resist because of that Karthus ult that I will be having to negate later in this game as well. And then I did pick up some cloth armor because one of the first items, regardless of whether I'm in the jungle with Riven or if I'm in top lane, I like to try to pick up a Vampiric Scepter and then that cloth armor because I'm going to be building towards the Wriggle's Lantern. That way I'll have that placeable ward available, which is going to be nice for obviously then keeping the top warded and then keeping me safe. Another thing I like about it is most champions in the top lane do physical damage, and you will be reducing that. as well, and then you also start to farm a little bit easy because of that ability to do that extra damage to minions. Picking up minion kills is a little bit easier, and that's never a bad thing. And then you pick up, the more attack damage, and you get that lifesteal. So plenty of good reasons why a lantern is a good item to get and take to top. So I did get a lantern. I did buy another ward too in case I wanted to ward the bush behind me instead of just the river, so I can keep both those bushes warded, since Gangplank is gonna maybe attempt to come up through Tri-Bush, but I won't have to worry about that for now. So moving on to my masteries page for Riven, it's a pretty standard setup for a tanky bruiser who's going for a lot of damage. I go with the 21, 9, and 0. 21 in the offensive tree. There you can see the Gangplank come out from behind. I did use my Kai Burst to stun him when I got next to him, and then I used my little Valor to kind of dash and get my shield, just to separate myself and give myself a little bit more room, that basically negating the gank altogether by stunning him and all of that. Here we're going to get into a little bit of a fight. I have my jungler up top, Zhao, and I'm going to move in. I'm going to use my stun. I'm going to start to use my broken wings to knock him up and around. We get stunned for a second. We are going to decide to tower dive this because I'm a little bit tanky. We know we can do the damage to him. Unfortunately, Gangplank shows up. I'm going to use my Wind Slash to kill him. I'm going to retreat now. And luckily we get out of there with a kill, nothing too major, so kind of a nice little tower dive. I'm only level 11, haven't really stocked any health, but she is pretty tanky for being a tanky bruiser, and that it'll show up later in the game. I get a lot of kills early, and then the build starts to focus on durability, while still doing plenty of damage, but then you're durable. You can be able to half tank fights and do a lot of damage, and I start picking up tons of assists later on. Here, Jhin gets into a fight while he tries to take their blue buff. I'm going to try to come down and help him. I try to tell him to retreat, but he gets involved with more than one. I'm going to move forward and be able to get my Wind Slash off to kill that Gangplank, but just barely. Now I need to try to retreat. There I use my stun just to try to give myself a little bit more room and get out of some of their nonsense. Luckily, Karthus doesn't have any mana. There I'm going to try to juke him by using my Valor and getting into that bush. I'm going to then stun them one more time if they get any closer to me. And try to give myself some room. Hoyt moves in, so does Amumu. I try to stun, now I try to move back in to help. I need to use my Valor again to get more shield up. We need to retreat from this. Unfortunately, our Amumu, or the game station who's playing with me, is kind of getting stuck. I'm going to try to move in here real quick because Hoyt moves in to pick up the quick kill on the Blitzcrank. I'm going to run into the bush, use my stun to keep them stunned, and then I'm going to dash away and use what I can to separate myself just to give ourselves a little bit of room, try to help Hoyt get out of there without dying. So kind of a interesting, odd team fight we got into there. Just kind of had to play it smart best I could without trying to die to him, but trying to help the team. So kind of an interesting move, but tried to move back in there to get that stun off. Didn't buy anything while I was back at base the last time because the next item I'm going for is a BF sword, so I'm just trying to hold off. I need a little bit more gold. I'm going to try to pick on Jax when I can, obviously, because that is the thing to do. But like I was saying with that Masteries page, that 21 in that offense is try to get all the damage I can with the armor penetration and the attack speed and all of that fun stuff. And then the 9 in the defense to pick up that additional health early and then some a little bit more magic and armor resists. So going to be going with that for the most part. Here I'm going to try to move into mid lane and try to help out. I think Karthus is going to get stuck between us and try to see, but he goes behind as he tries to jungle. So I'm going to leave him alone. Head back to base real quick since I do have enough gold for my BF sword. Occasionally while you're in top lane, if you're having a little bit of a problem or if you want to try to get a little bit more health a little bit sooner, you can build another Doran's Blade. This is one of the rare times I will recommend that you could build a second Doran's Blade. Typically I don't like doing it because I think it is a tiny bit of a waste. Here I'm going to actually, I think, flash up to Jax in a second. Oh, no, I'm not going to have to. Never mind. I'm going to stun and then jump around with my broken wings, doing tons of damage and hurting him. He's ignited. I tell him to ignore him and start to focus the Gangplank. We're going to then now go for him under the tower, and I'm going to pick up the double kill real quick while taking the tower. Here we have Karthus then try to come up. He's a little bit late. We're going to move forward knowing that we can do the damage to him quite quick since it is Karthus, although he is fed a little bit from minion kills. Here we both retreat for a second because we thought just one of us was going to pick the kill up. Unfortunately, Jhin dies. He's about to ult me again, but I am going to use my Valor yet again to negate the ultimate from Karthus. At this point, I would be quite angry if I was that Karthus. Here, I try to go top to try to save my turret as they all move top. I had to skip a little bit. There's just some random annoying nonsense happening in this game. We're going to get into a big team fight here. I'm trying to be one of the tankier bruisers and tank some of the damage while dealing massive damage too. Move out for a split second to get my shield back up, move back in, try to stun the Gangplank. I'm unfortunately going to die this time to the ultimate. Valor was not up for another second. But not too bad for a team fight to kind of be tanky and do all of that damage, especially as Riven. She does that very well. As you can see, item-wise, between that last 3 kills, between the gank under the tower top and all of that, I did finish off that BF sword into the next item that I get, which is a Bloodthirster. It's going to definitely help your damage output, and you're going to be able to heal quite well with it. And then I do start to build a Phage, which is also going to be very nice to have. And then the next item with the magic resist I am starting to build towards is going to be the item that builds towards the Maw of Malmortius, and going to start to do that with by building the Hexy Drinker. So here we did kill Karthus. Here I'm going to get stuck in their team. I get pulled and then knocked up and then slowed, and then Jax comes in, I get stunned again. I did live for quite a long time in that fight and did deal damage to all of them, but I did I got CC'd down and I was killed, unfortunately. But that is going to be something that you're just going to have to deal with. So, like I was saying, basically this Riven build, it does focus on some damage, but there is some durability involved, which allows you to do that kind of half-tanky role that teams sometimes need you to do. Luckily this game, we do have a Xin Zhao that's getting a little bit tanky for the most part. He's building similar-ish, and then luckily we do have the game station playing as a Mumu, so we do have a tank, and we do have his ultimate, which is very helpful in a team fight. And that's what's going on with that. As for the rune page that I do typically take setup-wise for Riven, I usually go with attack damage marks. You want those attack damage marks for all that damage you get early, especially that it stacks on your passive and helps you out there. I go with the armor seals, the magic resist glyphs, and the attack damage quintessences also helping me out. Now here, Amumu is going to get his ult off right before he dies. He kind of got caught out first. I'm going to pick up the assist on the Graves. We're going to keep trying to burst down their team and doing everything we can. I finally get my ult activated and picking up the kill on the Jax. Here I'm going to try to get over and help kill that Blitzcrank, and then start to go for the GP. He flashes through. I'm going to flash through as well and try to help get him away from our AD carry as he picks up that kill. Now we'll be able to push a little bit better, taking out a handful of their team. But we're going to actually go up here real quick and take this Baron. Me and Xin Zhao is going to take this for the most part. Not really going to hurt us because we have plenty of lifesteal and plenty of defense for the most part, which is very, very helpful. We're going to then continue to push mid a little bit and regroup by going back, maybe buying some more items and all of that good stuff. Riven is a very, very strong top lane, if you do not know that. She's not played as much recently because of some of the newer champions that have been coming out and kind of replacing her role almost. I would say a lot of people that played Rengar probably were Riven players, and Kha'Zix players are probably Riven-esque players. Haven't seen her as much lately. I personally do not like laning against her top because I know the extreme early damage that she can do. You really need to be careful against a Riven, especially if they are playing aggressive because they know they can do the damage. Luckily for Jax, he did have his stun, but I do know how to avoid the Jax stun by basically just kind of stepping away for a split second, and then I can always Valor back in and Kai Burst to then get rid of him. Here I do find the Karthus. I'm going to stun him and then use my Broken Wing time, knock him up. We also do run into Gangplank as well. Hoyt's going to burst down him real quick though, and he's going to pick up the double kill using his ultimate, and you know he's got a Deathfire Grasp. So Hoyt's putting out tons of damage. Hoyt has a ton of kills this game. I have 7 kills, which isn't bad, a couple deaths, and a handful of assists as I'm playing that tanky bruiser role. So all of this going on. That last time I was back at base, I did finally sell off that Doran's Blade because I don't need it anymore, and it opens up a item slot for me in which I can now build a Giant's Belt because I'm getting a little bit more tanky, which is also going to just help me stay alive and deal that extra damage. I'm going to steal their blue buff real quick because they sure as heck don't need it. We're killing them and getting Dragon. Hoyt's running around doing what he does by assassinating. I'm going to go top, clear this lane out real quick, and move on. You can see can pretty much break down a minion wave quite fast with my Broken Wings and my Kai Burst, so nothing to worry about there. After this, now I'm going to go back to lane, or back to base, and finish off that phase into that Frozen Mountain, pick up that Pickaxe, which will go with the Hexy Drinker, and finish off that Maw of Malmortius. This way I'm going to get tons of attack damage, and tons of defense for the most part. You kind of really need a Maw, or at least a Hexy Drinker when you're going up an enemy team that does have a Karthus. It's going to be very nice to negate his ultimate by getting that shield when it procs. Another thing about this build, if you get off to a crazy good start, they're just basically running at you and dying, it's not a horrible idea to then get the next item that I am going to typically be getting right now, which is a Guardian Angel. Occasionally, if I'm having a good early game, I will maybe just rush the Bloodthirster and get a Guardian Angel if they're really not doing any damage to me. It's a really interesting combination, and it does work well because you do get all that armor, making it even harder for them to even attempt to fight you if you are dealing all that damage. And you are a force to be reckoned with. It does happen, you can do it, but if not able to get that Guardian Angel early, you can pick it up as I would as my last item. You could then sell your Lantern late game if you need to for an Atma's Impaler, but other than that, guys, that's going to be a Riven build. If you have any questions, put those in the comments below. I'd appreciate if you liked and subscribed, but other than that, I'll just see all of you in the next build video.